Organized crime is present in every country in the world to one degree or another, being a source of constant headache for local law enforcement. Large groups with a clear hierarchy and organizational structure, serious funding and access to various weapons can always make a mess. But even here there are champions who sometimes control entire countries. Today we will tell and show you the top 5 most dangerous, influential, numerous, and brutal criminal groups that inspire fear in citizens around the world. 5th place, Mara Salvatrucha, aka MS-13. This sonorous name translates as a brigade of Salvadoran nomadic ants. And this name has its own history. In the late 80s in Los Angeles, Salvadoran migrants began to create their own criminal gangs. American law enforcement agencies tried to combat this by deporting gang members to their homeland. However, this led to terrible consequences. In their homeland, the mafiosi, rich by local standards and accustomed to a good life, quickly took over the entire criminal world. And soon the reverse expansion began. Salvadoran bandits poured into the United States, seizing spheres of influence. Today the gang operates throughout Latin America, as well as in the United States, Canada, and Spain. In the poor neighborhoods of El Salvador, the gang actually replaces all government institutions with itself. The FBI estimates the number of ants at 80,000 people, of which at least 15,000 are permanently located in the United States. It is also worth saying that in El Salvador, where the civil war recently ended, the gangster subculture imported from the United States has flourished like never before. But at the same time, she absorbed local traditions, becoming even more cruel. Many fighters who went through the Civil War joined the bandits. Mara Salvatrucha militants are characterized by extreme brutality, designed to intimidate competitors or authorities. Bandits often use machetes to rip off victims' heads, hands, fingers, or genitals and feed them to dogs. And also, unlike other banthas, ants avoid armed confrontations with the police. Members of the Mara Salvatrucha are distinguished by tattoos all over their bodies, including on the face and inner lips. They not only show a person's affiliation with a gang, but also with their details tell about his criminal biography, influence, and status in society. Members of the Mara Salvatrucha prefer blue and white in clothing, and rap in Spanish and English is popular among them. Initiation into a gang is called jumping in. The newcomer is brutally beaten by the crowd for at least 13 seconds. The main task is to simply endure it. He must then prove his loyalty to the gang by committing murder. Among the activities of these brutal bandits are drug trafficking, contract killings, pimping, human trafficking, arms trafficking, racketeering, extortion, as well as protecting petty swindlers and hucksters. Ants also have a strong presence in prisons. In their native El Salvador, they feed the fears of prison workers and extort money from relatives of prisoners. And the latter, despite the efforts of law enforcement officers, these thugs continue their criminal activities. 4th place, Yamaguchi-gumi. This group is the most powerful Yakuza community in Japan and originated in the city of Kobe in 1915. From the Port Workers Union, however, its tentacles stretch far beyond the borders of the land of the rising sun. Yamaguchi-gumi are pushing their interests in China, Korea, the USA, and European countries. Today, the number of gang members and associated criminals around the world reaches 200,000 people. Unlike other criminal groups around the world, the Japanese Yakuza, including the Yamaguchi-gumi, do not try to maintain complete confidentiality. They have official headquarters, the locations of which are not a secret. Emblems are often registered by organizations under the guise of charitable, patriotic, and far-right associations. The names of the leaders are also known. Yamaguchi-gumi is led by an elderly gentleman named Kenichi Shinoda. He recently extended another sentence for illegal possession of weapons. Yamaguchi-gumi guys are serious, so in addition to traditional rackets, robberies, drug trafficking, protection rackets, prostitution and gambling, they are involved in real estate transactions, stocks, and even create their own porn sites. The profit account is worth billions of dollars a year. At the same time, the gang honors the old traditions of the Yakuza. The body of the mafia is covered with characteristic tattoos, and a rigid hierarchy reigns within the clan. At the moment, the number of the Yakuza is decreasing every year. It is unclear whether this is due to the actions of the police or is it due to the growing rejection of the criminal subculture in Japanese society. However, the group also provides assistance to the population after natural disasters. Their support was especially noticeable after the Kobe earthquake in 1995, where the government was disorganized in the first weeks after the disaster, and after the earthquake and tsunami of 2011. Third place, Monjiki. Monjiki is perhaps the creepiest group in our top, although its influence has never gone beyond Kenya. Strictly speaking, this is not just a criminal community, but a real religious sect. The organization got its start in 1985, when a certain Maina Yenji took the floor at a meeting of the Kenyan Kikuyu people. He announced that the night before, an angel and the main god Kikuyu appeared to him in a dream, instructing him to rid Africa of white devils and alien Christians to Africans. Need I say that in a country mired in unemployment and corruption, people did not need to be asked twice. The structure of the organization was completely copied from the Mau Mau guerrilla groups, which in the 50s attacked white farmers and fought for the independence of Kenya, but were destroyed by British troops. However, now there was no talk of any lofty goals. The entire movement quickly descended into banal robberies, rapes, thefts, and murders. The Monjiki made ostentatious cruelty their main attribute. Their constant weapon is large curved knives that resemble machetes. In the vicinity of Nairobi, victims of the Monjiks were found every now and then. They told terrible things about the monks. It is known that they advocated religious circumcision of women. It is said that the Monjiki worshipped their god and committed ritual murders and drank human blood during the rituals. In the 90s, the gang experienced its heyday, but by the 2000s it began to lose its authority in society. And after the Monjiki contacted radical Islamists, governments, and the world community decided to put an end to their terrible activities and dealt a powerful blow to the group. At this point, the gang has lost most of its influence. Second place, Los Zetas. This drug cartel is one of the most influential Mexican groups and fights non-stop for its share of drug trafficking. Arranging fights both with the police and government troops, and with competing companies, so that you understand, a so-called drug war has been going on in Mexico since 2006. The police and military, with varying degrees of intensity, multiply the drug traffickers by 0, but they themselves suffer losses in numerous shootouts and ambushes. The cartels here have a full range of small arms, grenade launchers, and drive around in army armored vehicles purchased abroad. But Los Zetas also stands out from its competitors. Initially, the group was created as a wing of another influential cartel. The founder of Los Zetas was a deserter from an elite special forces unit. The first composition of the gang consisted exclusively of people from special forces and the Rifle Parachute Brigade. They brought a strict army hierarchy and discipline, as well as elite skills and professional warriors, to the criminal world. The gang even created special camps where mafiosi received military training. Los Zetas soon became an independent player and started a war with their former employers. The gang began to vigorously squeeze out shares in drug trafficking, drug production, human trafficking, protection of brothels, pritons and illegal immigration. To counter trained and well-armed competitors, other cartels have also taken care of creating their own combat cells. The degree of violence has soared to unprecedented heights. And while Los Zetas has seen its rise and fall over its nearly 20-year history, one thing has remained constant. The status of these thugs as the most violent Mexican gang. Kidnapping American tourists for ransom is common. Send the authorities the coordinates of the burial of 240 people, men, women, and children. Los Zetas did this too. Los Zetas brutally torture everyone who gets in their way and those who are simply unlucky. And the corpses of the poor fellows have their teeth knocked out and their fingers cut off in order to complicate identification. The first place is 18th Street. 18th Street originates in the Rampart area of Los Angeles. It was a small gang in the 60s, but over the decades it has transformed into a true underworld mastodon. The group is multi-ethnic, but its basis is made up of immigrants from Latin America. The gang is one of the largest criminal groups in the world. In Los Angeles alone and its surrounding areas, there are about 10,000 gang members. 18th Street brigades operate in 120 cities in 37 states of America, as well as in 11 other countries, mainly in Latin America. Particularly large brigades have their own names. For example, Hollywood Gangsters, Gangsters Pico, 106th Block, Columbia Lil Cacus Great Performance, MacArthur Park Smile Drive and many others. There is even a team consisting entirely of women. On 18th Street, as befits decent mafiosi, they are engaged in all types of criminal activities, but the main flow of money comes from the sale of marijuana and cocaine. But contract killings, prostitution, illegal migration, arms trafficking, human trafficking, assaults, car thefts and robberies also bring significant income. Over the course of 10 years, in Los Angeles alone, gang members committed 250 murders, and these are only those episodes in which their involvement was established. Despite large-scale FBI raids in the early 2000s, Band A continues to operate to this day and has not lost its position. 18th Street's allies are the Crips, the Mexican Mafia, and the Los Zetas drug cartel, and its enemies are Clanton 14 and Mara Salvatrucha.